In this video, we're going to look at a volume of the solid of revolution that's going to involve us having to take a trig integral to be able to find that volume. So we want to look at the curve y equals sine squared x, look at the area under that curve and above the x-axis on the interval from 0 to pi, and let's rotate that about the x-axis. So if we use the disk method for finding this volume, taking slices that are perpendicular to the x-axis, we see the radius of our disk will just be the function height, right? Because we're going from the x-axis up to the function. So the function height is going to give us what the radius of the disk is. So sine squared x is our radius. The area then of our circular face would be pi times radius squared, or pi times sine squared x, and then square that radius, and then dx is the thickness of your slice. We're going to integrate from 0 to pi over the entire interval under discussion here. Well, we can use our power-reducing formula to replace sine squared x with 1 minus cosine 2x over 2. Foil that piece out. We'll get 1 minus 2 cosine 2x plus cosine squared 2x. That's what we get when we foil out the numerator. 2 squared is 4, so we can pull a 1/4 out in front of our integral. So that's where the pi over 4 is coming from. We can replace cosine squared of 2x now with 1 plus cosine 4x all over 2. Do a little housekeeping with that fraction, split it up. We get 1 plus a half, that's where the 3/2 comes from, minus 2 cosine 2x, and then we've got a 1/2 cosine 4x. Now we can do each of these antiderivatives pretty straightforwardly. Antiderivative of 3/2 is just 3/2 x. Antiderivative of 2 cosine 2x is just a sine x. Antiderivative of 1/2 cosine 4x is just a 1/8 sine of 4x. Remember, we have to adjust for this 4 out in front. So that's where the 1/8 is coming from, the 2 that we already had, and the 4 that has to come out in front as a 1/4 when we antidifferentiate this cosine of 4x. We're going to evaluate this from 0 to pi. Notice that when you put in 0 for x into the sine, and when you put in pi for x into the sine functions, those are all going to turn out to be 0. Put in 0 for x here, I'm also going to get 0. So the only thing that survives is putting in pi here for x. That gives me 3 pi over 2 times a pi over 4. So we get a final answer of 3 pi squared over 8.